And last but not least, let's take a look at profit margin. Now, fair warning if you're an analytical engineer CPA, do not do a deep dive into profit margin this early on. This is just to see very quickly if you can even source this in the ballpark range of making an adequate profit. Because there's certain products that you'll be like, it passes every single test, and you can't find anybody who can source it for under like $50 a unit, and it retails for like 55. And again, it falls into the too hard category. Later on, when you start to negotiate and solicit quotes from suppliers, that's when you can really, really crunch the numbers to your heart's desire. But we're not looking to do this at this stage. We want to move fast. We don't want to get stuck on the minor stuff. We just want to say, hey, is this even worth going to the next step, which is then to contact 20 suppliers and start getting quotes and then see if they can meet our target wholesale price that we need. And I'm using the term wholesale, I just mean our target buy price, right? So that we can make an adequate profit. Okay, so why don't we get into this right now? I'm going to go pretty quick here, but the bottom line is, here's my criteria. I know that when you place your initial minimum order quantity, you're going to have the worst profit at that stage because you're ordering so few units. And I'm fine with that. I'm fine that as long as I can make a 30% profit margin on my initial minimum order quantity, because I don't have any scale at that point, and they know it, and that's fine. It's just, I got to test the viability of the product. And so, hey, I'm fine taking a 30% profit margin, but I want to know in my head that on subsequent large reorders that I can hit my target of 40% or more profit margin. Does that make sense? Because the economics, they just don't favor you when you're only ordering 400 or 600 units, as opposed to if you place an order for 10,000 units, once you have a really good selling product, you're going to get much better pricing. So I'm okay with 30% for my initial, but ultimately I want to know that, hey, I think I have a good chance of getting 40% profit margin, on subsequent reorders once I know that this thing has a pulse. Okay, so let's do this. What I always do is I go to Alibaba, and we're going to search for baby sleep machine here. And the first thing I do here, I just want to bring, see this bar up here? I always check off gold supplier. Now, I love how everybody from the States, see, Americans are kind of isolated. We don't have to really, we're not forced to learn foreign languages like they are in Europe. Americans tend not to travel abroad as much as Europeans do or Chinese do, and we're just pretty isolated, right? So we just want everyone to speak American. Speak American. I just sounded like a hick, didn't I? We want everyone to speak English, and we're very wary of anybody overseas, as far as like, oh, I'm going to get scammed, or what's going to happen to my money, or, and I'm just telling you, I have been scammed and treated worse by American manufacturers by a factor of like probably 5 than I ever have by Chinese. Okay. The Chinese are motivated. Largely speaking, they are honest, hardworking. And I told my son, in fact, that, son, you better start learning Mandarin Chinese because they're going to quickly, I believe in the future, overtake America. They just as a country, they are so motivated, and you're going to find that they're going to be highly motivated for your business. And by the way, I don't mean to offend anybody, and you might not like what I just told you, but I'm just telling you it's a fact. I've been there, and I see how they conduct business. And I actually, at this stage, would rather do business with the Chinese company because they're more reliable and they're more hungry for the business. See, if I call up an American manufacturer and I say, hey, send me 400, manufacture from scratch 400 units and imprint my brand on it, they'll hang up on me. They're not interested. They're only interested in high volume. China, as a very motivated, up and coming nation, and I say up and coming, they're already there. I mean, if you go to some of the cities, you'd be aghast at the luxury goods that they're buying and the Mercedes and BMW. I mean, again, if you have a chance to go to China, I highly recommend it. It'll really change your perspective of the incredible wealth and good things happening in their economy. But anyway, so, the same people that get worried about using Alibaba because, quote unquote, I'm going to get scammed, will then have complete confidence by just doing a blind Google search and just picking a random supplier in the States. I'm like, huh? That doesn't make any sense, because when you use gold supplier, this tells us that these people had to jump through hoops. They actually had to pay a fee and get certified by Alibaba as at least being a legitimate operation, which is way more of an assurance that you'll get just doing a random Google search, right? So let's click off gold supplier, okay? And let's just look at some of the prices here. So the reason why there is this range from 8 to 10, look at this, minimum order is just 100 pieces. That's awesome. Now this doesn't look good, so I wouldn't even waste my time with that. But the point is, like, you can get some incredible buys here. Now here's a great example of this. How is that for a negotiating range? $3.59 to $20 to $18, right? Pretty funny. But this tells me that, look, on subsequent reorders, I can probably get this for $3.50-ish, and probably for my minimum order quantity, we're probably looking at maybe $10 or less. Okay, so let's use that $3.50. Let's just keep going, and that sounds about right to me. See, we're getting confirmation of this, $4 to 13. Again, this is the worst prices you'll ever pay. This is their opening negotiating range. This is not like gospel. This is not like contractual pricing. This is to get you to open up a dialogue with them. Okay, don't take this stuff literally. Okay, so just what I'm seeing here, we're looking at roughly a range. Again, I'm just doing quick and dirty. $3.50 is what I'm going to probably use, because I guarantee you if I'm doing high volume, I can get that up to probably $5 to $7 realistically once you're ordering a volume. Okay, so let's just keep that in mind. And then what we do is we are going to use our handy dandy, amazing, custom built ultimate FBA calculator that we built for you guys. So what you have to do is you go to the listing itself that you want to analyze, this one, okay? And you might remember on a previous video, I walked you through the FBA math, what the expenses are, things like that, right? So we're going to open up our calculator, and boom, look at how beautiful and sexy that thing is. So this must be the wrong listing. This one is priced at $71.99. It's a different version. So actually, let's go back here. Oh, my fault. I did click the wrong one. It automatically plugs in all the data. And okay, so this is what we're going to play with here. Unit manufacturing cost. So let's start off with $3.50. Let's just see what kind of math that gives us. Now remember, we want initial profit of 30% up to 40%. So this shows that we have an ROI of almost 1,000%. Gee, that's pretty good. And a profit margin of roughly 70%. Now this is assuming we can sell at that price and get for that low. That might not be practical. So I just kind of play with this a little bit. Let's use the higher range. Let's go $10. Let's just see what happens. Even $10 still gets me at that 59% range. So again, I realize, guys, that your price could be lower or higher depending on the options that I want my manufacturer to do. I'm not dealing with that at this stage. This, for me, gets the initial quick yes, and I move on, okay? So see how awesome all these tools are that we're giving you? In the old days, I had to do this caveman style, which was, I'll just show this to you in case you love the caveman style. We have this FBA calculator that you have to manually use, which is pretty cool, but it looks like this. It takes you to Seller Central page. You might remember this page here. Looks like this. You'd have to enter the ASIN, right? And you'd go through that process that I showed you on the previous video. Why? Why would you do that when you can click a link, launch our app that we have done for you, enter the approximate price. Let's do $12.50, and I can still make 54% and a 248% ROI. Isn't that wild? So as you can see, we have a pretty good system here. I think you would agree with that. And something that has certainly made me and my students a lot of money. So what do you think? We got a yes for BSR demand, yes for depth test, yes for monthly sales depth, yes for review activity, yes for exact search volume, low competition, just touching into medium competition, so it's perfect. I think I can differentiate. And yes, again, on the first pass here, it appears to be very profitable. We are all systems go. Now, what I would like you to do this week, is I would like you to take the time, okay, to practice this. Unlike fine wine that gets better with age, this is the type of thing that you can get very excited about. It makes a lot of sense intellectually when you see it. It makes a lot of sense from a business standpoint. If you have a business background, you're probably super pumped. But you need to struggle through this the first time. And I promise you this, the first time you go through this, it'll be the toughest. You'll be like, wait, what does that mean again? And you'll be bouncing back and forth between the SOPs that we built for you and your spreadsheet. Second time you do it, you'll do it a little bit faster. By the 20th time, you're going to be doing it as fast as me. And you're going to quickly see that, when you do like 5 of these HOPPS analysis at once, which you can do in maybe 15, 20 minutes, you're going to have one clear winner. I mean, one will just stand out compared to the other ones. And just as a general rule of thumb, and my closing thoughts here is, if there is really any big question mark, if something just doesn't jive, next. If I can't, with a good probability, make an adequate profit, next. If it doesn't meet most of these, I'm done, I'm out of there, because again, like Warren Buffett said, why go and deal with too hard when you can stand at the mound all day and wait for the perfect pitch? I only choose to swing at those perfect pitches.